Hey, what's up? What's up? It's Jobi the One here on the second episode of the Jobi the One podcast, where we talk about dreams, goals, passions, going through with those dreams, goals, or passions, why we may have some of these passions, why we may have some of these wants and goals. And on today's episode, we're talking about bucket lists and why I think bucket lists are important. So, without any further ado, let's go to episode 2.
All right, all right. And as the introduction already said, this is episode 2, and today's topic is the bucket list. Now, I've had my bucket list for probably about 3 years now. I've had some wants and some places I've wanted to go, some things I've wanted to do for about just as long as I've been born, but an official bucket list, which I always carry with me. This is a start. It's 4 pages? 3 pages. And some front to back, different stuff of places I want to go, museums I want to see, people I want to see. I talked about some of that in my first episode, but yeah, I always carry that list with me because to me it's like directions. Like, so if anybody, it's kind of like what do they say, a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan. I also have one of those. That's right here. I recently started this, if you can see it from either one of these cameras. That's my 10-year plan. It's things I want to do, more to do with the person, Jobi the One, and not necessarily like my aspirations of like, I guess that's still to do either way. It's 2 different things, but could be the same thing. I actually do have some of these bucket list items on my 10-year plan because they're that important to me. But today's episode, we're focusing on the bucket list. Now, why do I think bucket lists are important? As I was hinting towards, I think that they're like directions towards life. Something like when somebody says, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? You can say, well, on my bucket list, I want to go to Rainbow Vomit in Dallas. Why would I want to go there? I'm huge into immersive museums. I want to go to almost everyone that America can provide, and that was one of them. Knocked it off. What year did I say I knocked off? And that's the good thing about a bucket list. I keep track of when, so when I'm looking back on it when I'm 60, I'll be able to be like, oh yeah, and I have my YouTube to correlate it. So I'm like, oh yeah, 6/6/21. You went to the Rainbow Vomit, and you know it just sparks a memory in me. I think bucket lists help you create goals as well. I think they also help you keep the track of them, like I was just saying with the date and the checking them off. But with the creating goals, it's kind of like you get lost into what do I want to do, and you know we all deep down have a lot of wants to do, whether they're, I would say, minor to me, like getting a certain level in a video game. That would be a minor to me. I don't play very many video games, but I am stuck on this Red Dead Redemption 2, and there's a couple goals I want to do in that. I would say that's a minor bucket list to me. Going to Mount Rushmore was a huge one to me because I wanted to see something that I've only seen in grade school picture books and stuff like that, you know, like through the textbook in grade school. I've only seen it through pictures or a history channel, and getting to see it face to face, which I did, I think it was in 2021 as well, was a phenomenal experience. Definitely one of the best things I've ever done was go to the Mount Rushmore just because it was so surreal to see it and to see the amount of different like cultures that was there and the history that they spew when you're there. Even they had a Abraham Lincoln impersonator there. Just, it was a whole different experience than what I would have ever got reading about it in a picture book. I also think a good reason to have a bucket list is because it helps you see how far you have come. Like, once I'm checking off these things, it lets you see that the impossible is not really impossible. It's more possible. All it is, I say all it is, but relatively all it is money and time. Like you might have to work a little bit to save the money. That's part of the time and the money. But then it's also getting there, which is money. I mean, in today's age, it's so easy to get somewhere, even if you don't have a car. Like I'm looking up to go to Florida. That's going to be my vacation this year. My big vacation, go to Florida. I'm basically going to go from OKC to Orlando, and I'm going to travel up and down Florida. So because St. Augustine's on my list, Universal Studios on my list. I got a couple museums. Like I want to knock off the Ripley's, and if they got wax museums, I want to knock off the St. Augustine Pirate Museum. A bunch of bucket lists are in Florida, and I want to knock that off. And all it is just preparation and time, and saving your money, being smart, like actually attributing to these goals, and you can knock it off. And it's just like the more and more I do that stuff, the more and more it shows me like that. I mean, this is definitely important to me. Travel is definitely important to me. Seeing everything that I want to see on this list, and like whatever I continue to put on it, is very important to me. Other people may have goals of, like, I've interviewed like wrestlers, and their goals are to be in like an AEW or a WWE, and so they're working through all these independent promotions to make their way up there and get themselves seen. And I mean, they're just knocking off bucket lists of different independent promotions they want to be a part of, bigger and bigger and bigger, and maybe even championships they want to obtain, just or matches of opponents that they want to face. Like it's just knocking off these little bucket lists to get to the final bucket list of where they want to be. Some of my like bucket lists, and I'll tell you why after I name them, are I want to see all the Meow Wolves. That's one of those immersive museums things I was telling you about. You go in there and you get lost in a very imaginative person's imagination, if that makes sense. And if not, look it up. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's like refrigerators that open into hallways, and campers that have magical forests around them. I don't know how to explain it. You just have to go to one to see it. I have been to the Santa Fe one. I've been to the Grapevine one. I've been to the Las Vegas one. And I think the only one I need to go to now is the Denver one, which it's going to happen. It's going to happen very, very soon. Drive through the Route 66. I know I mentioned this time, or this podcast, and I mentioned it in the last podcast, but that is a huge, huge, huge bucket list of mine, is to go on the Route 66, and that is happening next year. I am making sure that happens. I already told everybody that I need to tell that I'm taking 2 weeks off of work. I'm going to start saving as soon as this Florida vacation's done. Everything's going towards that Route 66, and I don't necessarily think I'll need a lot of money for attractions and stuff. I will want to stop at some museums and stuff like that, but a lot of them through my state, Oklahoma, and I've gotten some knocked out through Texas already. So a lot of that I can just drive through. I need to get the ones that are in like Illinois, Missouri, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. I need to get those museums that I want to knocked out of the way. But I think mostly my money is going to be going towards food and hotels. Definitely food. There's so many great food stops along the way. And hotels, I want to stay, if I can, in the Clown Motel. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm definitely going to stop and take pictures and make a video of it. That's for sure. I just can't pass that up. But I definitely want to stop at like famous hotels like that, and get souvenirs. Which souvenir to me is like a pin. That's why I'm a pin collector. I basically, anywhere cool, I see if they got an enamel pin that I can put in this. I got this little felt glass with that glass case over it, and it basically is where you can post all the pins in it, and I collect it. I probably posted pictures on my Instagram if you want to check it out. I want to meet Jacob the Carpetbagger because he's one of my biggest inspirations in travel. He's actually shown me that you can travel with this passion burning inside your soul and make money at it, and I would love to even do a fraction of what he's done. Jacob the Carpetbagger is so inspirational to me, and I love his person that he is. You can just tell he is a very good person. He's knowledgeable about so much. I can't say enough about this dude. I think he is just freaking spectacular. And I like that we both like The Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz is number one in my book. Um, I want to make a crossover series for my Mr. Friendly character. And if you don't know, Mr. Friendly is a horror character I've made. He's a serial killer that basically makes moves off what his nightmare tells him. And basically, I want to incorporate this guy into the DC universe, or possibly I think Freddy Krueger would be a cool crossover too, because Freddy Krueger is the king of getting in your nightmares. I think either one of them would be spectacular. Maybe in the DC universe, I wouldn't make it more like he's having ghostly nightmares. I would probably make it more, or even if I did, that would be cool too, actually. But I would make it more of is he having these nightmares, or is he possibly on Scarecrow's hallucinogenic drug that's making him thinking he's having these nightmares? Something that would be more, I guess, realistic in the real world, but still have the slight edge of, could he be having these nightmares? Because that's the whole reason Mr. Friendly does what he does, is he's guided by nightmares of past victims that basically have formed a cult in the paranormal universe called The Guilty, and The Guilty guide Mr. Friendly into doing what he does. A big one. I would love to be part of a pro wrestling anything, major storyline, basically. Whether it would be manager, or maybe a Halloween edition where I could bring my Mr. Friendly to be some possessive manager, or just have a storyline of the Guilty Gauntlet where they have a Halloween match, but it's based on the Guilty universe. I don't know, and I can incorporate different scare factors of the Guilty in it. I don't know, but I think that would be very cool. Now, to why I want to do these things. On the Meow Wolf, I want to see these museums because a long time ago when I was using Facebook, I used to see this picture, and this was, I guess, when they first came out in the Santa Fe location, and it was refrigerator, and it opened it up, and it was just bright light, and basically it was I think it was maybe a video I seen, or maybe it was a description where it was a hallway into a different universe, and I was seeing through these pictures they were what I thought it was a neon forest, basically these neon trees, and I come to find out that was a fish tank. I actually went to the location. That's a good example of why I want to go to these places, because I see one thing and I think it, and I want to know what it's really like. And when I went to this neon forest, it was actually a freaking fish tank. You're going in the bottom of a fish tank, and that is freaking cool. But Meow Wolf basically plays off your creativity, and it is what you make it. I mean, you can go by a storyline. There's a storyline to all of them. There's a bigger storyline, I'm pretty sure, that goes to all of them. But I basically just go in there free roam. I like to see what I can see, come up with the stories that I want to come up to, get lost in these worlds that these artists have created for me. And I think that immersive museums are the way to go, museum-wise. Even if it was history, I would like them if they just immersed you back in 1647. I don't know why that year, but just got you in it, and you could walk around and get lost in these worlds. And that's what I love about Meow Wolf. Somewhere you can get lost in. It's a huge on my bucket list because I'm a huge imaginative person, and these people are just speaking to the imagination in my soul. The Route 66, basically, as I've stated, is something that I've wanted to do forever. I'm big into history. It has a lot of history incorporated into it. A lot of even not history as in my grandpa, took my mom and her brothers and sisters on the Route 66 as a vacation road trip, which that happened, but not only that history, but Elvis stopped at places, or this historic big Texan stake that only 10,000 people out of 100,000 people have completed, and the Cadillac Ranch, and how it was basically set there for artists to go crazy on, and yada yada. It's just got so much to it, and so much I've seen through pictures and History Channel and all sorts of stuff, that I have to knock that off my bucket list. the crossover series with the Mr. Friendly character. I basically am living on this, not living, but I'm basically fueling off of the fact that I have created this Mr. Friendly character, and I have put basically money into him. I've come up with a storyline. He's become one of my passions to create around. I think, to me personally, I think he's kick ass, and I would like to cross over into something else I like the comic books or the horror series with like Freddy Krueger, and I think that right there would be my way to do it. And I'll come up with something original, and who doesn't want to see their original creation, come to life with something else? I just think that's very, I hate to say spectacular again, but spectacular. Let me plug this in real quick. Get that all. Can't have a dying computer in the middle of a podcast. The being a part of a pro wrestling goes to basically being a kid. I have always looked up to wrestlers. I remember my first memory of wrestling was whenever my dad took me to, I want to say it was the State Fair, and there was Jake the Snake Roberts. I remember seeing Surfer Sting, and we sat like right where they were coming out, so you could see them. And we were as kids yelling at them. I was freaking out because I'm seeing these larger than life characters come out, and back then they all had vibrant colors and stuff. But just, I think ever since then, it took my heart by passion. I remember going to multiple birthdays. That was my gift, is going to like WWF Raw. I've got to see like Shawn Michaels, Kane, and those as a kid were very captivating characters, especially Kane, the Big Red Machine. I was kind of terrified of him. Seeing Van Vader, seeing all these people that gave me a great childhood. And now that I'm older and I'm kind of more into the, I guess, what would you say, the backstage part of it. And I know that's not very popular to probably most wrestlers, but it's just, I think it's true. As you grow up, you like seeing the grimy details about it. And I am definitely all about that. I love the podcast, love everything basically behind the scenes of pro wrestling. I also like pro wrestling as in general, but just the back stuff really gets me interested and captivated. Basically, I love to see the inner workings of it, and I think that if I could knock off me being a focal part of a pro wrestling, whether, like I said, manager, I would even record on a big time, but I would really count it if I even got to just be like a person that tries to come stop, like one of those security guards that you see like, hey, don't hit him, and they knock you out of the way. I would love to even just be a part of that, just something part of a wrestling focus. I would love to knock that off for my entire childhood. And I don't even know if none of this made sense. I'm talking almost 20 minutes long, and I think I just rambled about bucket lists, but I think the importance of a bucket list is the fact that it gives you a direction in life. It gives you a purpose. It gives you things to do. And I think that is very important so you don't become a stale and stagnant person. Because at the end of life, I have 100%, I have an idea that when you're laying in that deathbed, you're not going to be worried about the money. And I hear this a lot. You're not going to be worried about the money. You will worry about family members. You will worry about people you care about. But I think you will have wanted to knock out passions. And I think you will have wanted to knock out goals that you said at the time were bigger than you. That you said were too hard. I believe that you will be heartbroken looking back in retrospect that you could have accomplished it and it was just a moment in time, a little bit of effort, a little bit of elbow grease, and you could have at least had a glimpse of that passion. I don't know. I don't even know if that makes too much sense. It does to me. I'm still trying to figure out my grasp on this speaking, but hopefully somebody got something from this. I think if you don't have a bucket list, you should definitely just sit down and write 5 things you want to do starting out. Maybe you don't have to go in so deep like I did. I basically just started binge watching Carpetbagger episodes off YouTube and started just writing down all these places that he went to because I do want to see everything. So I know that's a direction I want to go. But I also started to get a little more deeper with it. Like, not just museums, but more like events. Like, going to a horror con. I see that over here. That's something right up my alley. And I don't think when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to be like, man, I wish I went to a horror con. But I will think that, man, I am so glad I did do some of these things and lived a full life. One person said to me one time, and this may be the realest shit that I'm saying on this whole episode. One person said to me one time, wouldn't you want to tell the giver of life on your deathbed or after you have passed, wouldn't you want to tell the giver of life that you use that life to live a full life? You don't want to tell him that basically you worked a 9 to 5, went home and chilled because you were too tired, because you didn't feel like it, because there was no one to do it with. I mean, to that last statement, there is no one to do life with. That is honestly maybe the best time to go out and do these goals, do these passions, follow these dreams, because other people kind of, for a lack of better words, hinder that progress. Unless you find someone good. Like, I have found someone that basically is willing to say, hey, you plan our vacations, because she knows that I, have tons of ideas. Like, I've basically nonstop check over the United States of America map to find new stuff. I'm always checking in something to do. I always want to do something. I'm way too antsy. Even if we're trying to save money, I'm like pacing, and she'll have to tell me, what do you want to do? I'm like, can we just go look at a store just so I can window shop? I can window shop perfectly fine. But yeah, I think that guy had a point. You don't want to have to tell the maker of life in the end that you did not live life to the best of your ability. Because there's people who actually can't live life to the best of their ability. And that's just kind of a slap in the face. So if anything you have of this podcast today is sit down, write you some things you want to do, basically invest in yourself. And whether it's taking up a class of some sort, whether it's drawing pictures, whether it's creating a song, you don't have to have all the tools either. You don't have to have all the tools. But make something, and especially with the tools that you have, and build towards it. Like, invest. Like, none of this stuff just comes to you. At least even like before I had the computer and the stuff, I had this. I had free paper that I found, actually. I didn't even, like, at this point, I think I found this. I was working at hospice, and somebody had passed away, and a blank sheets of paper were in their thing. I think that's actually God honest truth where I got this. Either that or it was a found notebook somewhere, but I know it was free. I heard my phone in there talking. I have it playing and just hit a commercial and it freaked me out. Anyways, like I said, write 5 things down if you can, if you even want to. 5 things that you want to do, and try to pursue them, or just build up on it. Like, write 55 things down, because I think the more the merrier, the more options you have. Like, mine is displaced all over America, and I've knocked a lot of them close out to me, and that helps build my confidence and basically want to conquer further and further out. Hope everyone has a blessed day. I hope everyone's following their dreams, following their passions. Stay following your dreams, stay following your passions. Even when it gets hard, just chip it out bit by bit. Everyone have a blessed day.